Good afternoon, or morning, or evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm Tamar Grainer. This session is GoFish, Searching in VFP Projects and Folders. And tell you a little bit about me first. I've been working in the FoxPro world since the late 80s. I've done a tremendous amount of writing and speaking about VFP. A few of my books are pictured on the slide. I'm one of the organizers of this conference and of Southwest Fox. And I'm always interested in hearing about new opportunities to continue working with VFP. I've done a lot of work with other developers over the years. Here's the plan for today. I'm going to talk about how you get started with GoFish, what GoFish is and how to get started. And then we'll look at how do you search, how do you filter the search results, how can you do replace, and then a bunch of odds and ends that will make it all more interesting. At this point, I'm going to make things big by turning off my camera. And we'll move on and get started. Oh, I probably have to task switch. Okay, so let's talk about getting started with GoFish. Starting with, what is GoFish? When the project manager was added to VFP, that was or to FoxPro, actually, FoxPro 2.0, we weren't given any particular way to search within projects. We had ways of searching files, but nothing that was really project-oriented. And it continued that way for a long time. And then around 2001, Peter Diot, a member of the community, created a tool that he called GoFish. You know, where is that thing? GoFish, like the children's game. And he shared it with the community, and a number of people did start using it. I wasn't actually one of them. And then after VFPX came along, Matt Slay heard about this tool and thought it sounded terrific. And he went to Peter and said, hey, can I take this over and enhance it? He did. It became part of VFPX. Now, in VFP8, Microsoft gave us a tool for searching in projects called Code References, and it works, and I've used it, and I've written about it, but GoFish is actually better than Code References pretty much every way that I've encountered. Most important, it is way faster at searching. And GoFish was significantly enhanced within the last year or two, so that the current version is GoFish 5. Sadly, Matt Slay passed away last year. Doug Hennig is now the project manager for GoFish. What GoFish allows us to do is search within projects, filter those search results farther to narrow down and get to exactly what we want, and do replacements safely in projects. So the first question is, how do you get GoFish? The easy way to get GoFish is using Thor. If you already have Thor installed, and if you don't, why not? You can just go to Thor, go to Thor's check for updates. This will take a moment, so I'll keep talking. It's going to go check every Thor project, find out what needs to be updated. Shouldn't have anything to update for me because I have this running often enough. But if once it comes up, as you'll see, it will show which Thor projects are installed and current, what's been updated recently, which ones don't you have. Now, I have GoFish installed already. It didn't make sense for this session to actually do the install. But if you don't, you would scroll down as far as you need to find it in the not installed section. I'm just going to sort of pretend demonstrate. If you wanted to install it and you didn't have it, you check it and you click install updates. I'm not going to do that because I have the most recent version. Once it's installed, you'll find it on the Thor Tools menu. Had to finish. Okay. Thor Tools menu under Applications, GoFish, GoFish 5. That's a long way to go to use this tool. So you probably will want to set up a shortcut for it, a keyboard shortcut. And you do that in Thor Configure, tool definitions, find the tool you want, GoFish, GoFish, and I've actually already set one up. I use Control-Alt-G for this, but all you have to do is click this button, hit the keystroke that you're interested in, and it will be added. When you close this dialog, that keystroke will be added. You also can, as you can see here, put it on a toolbar and so forth. The point is, once you have it on a hotkey, you can just open it with that hotkey instead of navigating the menu. But what if you're not using Thor? And again, I say, why not? You can install GoFish manually by going to the page for it on the VFPX site, and the link is in the paper, and you can see it here. It's github/VFPX/GoFish. And on this page, hit code, hit download zip. Again, I'm not going to actually do it. And once you've downloaded, unzip that and put it where you would like to have it. I'd suggest a short path to make it easy to get at it. And then when you want to use it in FoxPro, then you would do whatever the path is, GoFish, or if you have your own custom menu, you can add it to a custom menu. Okay. Once you have GoFish, and we will actually look at what's in it, see it in a minute. What if you need help? Well, there are several things. First of all, if you paid for this conference, you have my paper, which is the most recent full-length work on GoFish. Also, there's a set of forums, and the set of forums is available through a link, the link on the slide. But more importantly, if you are using Thor, you can go Thor forums, GoFish, and there's a group of people here who talk about Thor, who, you can ask and say, hey, I'm having trouble. Anybody else? You do have to have a Google account for this. I'm logged into Google. The other thing you can do is go back to the GoFish homepage. There's actually quite a lot of information here. So you can scroll through and see that. There's also an issues page here where you can post stuff. I'll come back and talk about that later in the session. And finally, in the book that a bunch of us wrote about VFPX, this book, VFPX Open Source Treasure for the VFP Developer, there's a full chapter on GoFish. Now, it is about GoFish 4, so there have been some changes since then, but there's a lot of information there. Okay, are there any questions at this point?
Not yet.
Okay, great. Then we'll just move on. So it's a search tool. So the first thing we want to do is search. So how does that work? This is what the interface looks like, and we'll talk about it. Probably better to just go there now. So when you open GoFish, and I used my hotkey shortcut, you have a search. Looks like a text box. It's actually a drop-down. It remembers your recent search terms. And the first time you open, this will be entirely blank, of course. You have the scope. Where are you searching? And when you drop this one open, what you get is a list of your most recently used projects and any project that's open, and folders you've already searched in. I think that's actually the MRU list of folders also, most recently used. Yes, it is. And so you can either pick one of these, or you can say the current folder that I'm in. For this session, I'm mostly going to demonstrate using the code for the toolbox, another VFP tool that I know most of you aren't using. I'm doing it this way because I'd like you to be able to replicate on your machine the search that I'm doing on mine, and all the examples that are in the notes. So I'm searching in some code that you have as well as I do. Anyway, for the simplest search, you put, we're going to search for the word item, well, actually for the string item, in this toolbox project, and all I have to do is click GoFish. I actually could have just typed in the string and hit enter. And we now have all these results. So let's talk about what we have here. On the left, we have a tree view of all the files and classes and so forth that contain any results. And if I minimize that, you can see there's class libs, there's forms, programs, other. Up here, we have a grid with all the results in it. Each line is one result, one place that the string item was found. And there's a whole lot of information here. Down below, we have the code view that when you're on a particular line shows you what that line was in context. So here in this example, like note, I can hover because it's a grid. This is all built in FoxPro. And I can see what it is, but down here I can see the line. The match term is in green, and we've got the code that's around it. We can actually scroll some in here so we can see where was this. When I navigate over here in the tree view, for example, if I click on classes, now we only get the results that were in classes. Minimize that so I can get to something else. If I come down here and click programs, only the ones in programs. And yes, the different kinds of results are color-coded. So red means it was from just a regular PRG type file, and the green is something from a class, and these are constants in a constant file. So we've got some color coding going on. Way over here, and I don't know if it's big enough to read, we can see how many results were found. It says 684 lines, 13 files in 0.8 seconds. So it searched the whole project. It found 684 lines that contained matches. They were spread across 13 files, and it took 0.8 of a second to do that, which is pretty cool. Over here, also dimmed, when we move around, it tells us how many we're down to. So when I look just at this toolbox.h, it's 16 match lines in one file. If I hit the one for forms, it tells me there are 124 match lines in 5 files. So you have some idea of the scope of your result. Okay, and this is all neat and cool. But the really cool thing, of course, maybe not, of course, is double click on a line and the relevant file opens up. The line that contains the match is where the focus is. See this line. And so you can go make a change, read the code, do whatever it is you want. GoFish is very good at finding the right file and line. There are some situations where it can't, but mostly it does a really good job. And in the meantime, it's still sitting there, so I could come back and, okay, this is really where I want to go, or I also need to see this one. I think I didn't. Oh, is this? There turn out to be in this project a couple of files that can't be opened. And one thing I would change is I would have it tell me when it's failing. So here's another example of opening the file. PRG, so we get a Modicom window. Okay. So that was a basic search. We can fine-tune that search in a lot of ways. One of the ways is fine-tuning what we're going to search for. There's a set of checkboxes, and we'll go back and I'll show it to you in the interface, that let you decide things about the search itself. The first one changes depending whether you're searching in a project or a folder. In a project, it says, do you want to limit to the home directory? And actually, it's not just the home directory. I think it's the home directory and its subfolders. So maybe you only want to search in your code and not in the framework code. For folder, do you want to search subdirectories? Then, are we only looking for our string as a whole word? Should we match case? By definition, GoFish search is case independent, case insensitive. And should we include comments in the search? I would actually love to have the option of searching only comments, which we don't have. Anyway, So let's go back. Let's redo our first search, except let's look for item only as a whole word. So right now we had 684 lines in 13 files. When I run the search again, I only have 46 lines in 9 files in 0.2 of a second. So it's definitely, that narrowed things down, because now we're not going to include matches that were compound words. We're just going to get the ones that were a whole word. What else can we do? We can fine tune where to search. There's a dialog. I'll show you how to open it. The advanced search dialog lets us do a lot of things, including go out and find the place where we want to search. And, we're going to work through this rather than looking just at the slide. So the advanced button here lets us see this dialog. The drop down, this is the same as in the one we've already seen. Get out of that. Here we have these 5 tabs. And the active project, let me start here actually. Recent, this is the same drop down we saw in the main GoFish interface. Nothing more to say about that. Active project is, if you've got a project open, choose that. Similarly, current dir, it's whatever folder you're currently in. And those are handy, but things you could do from the main interface. It's these 2 tabs, Browse Project and Browse dir, that really let you do some more, because you can now hit the ellipsis and then go find the folder you want to search in, and even set to current directory if you want. On the Browse Project side, you can go find the project you want to search in, and then you would hit the GoFish button here and it would do the search. I'm not going to actually do that here, because I want to look at all these other things that are available here. We can specify a file template. Only search in files that have this template. I'm going to do Starbox, not Bob, star. And now when I search, we're only going to do the files that have box in the name. And we have 42 lines in 7 files. Underscore toolbox.vcx. That doesn't say where it is. What's these folders and so forth. So you can use a file template. This is probably a good time to add that I learned a tremendous amount about what you can do with GoFish writing this session. I've been using it for years. You do some powerful things with it, but there was a lot of stuff I'd never really stopped and looked at. You can keep a skip file list. If you're using a source control product, you're familiar with the ignore list. This is the same idea. You can put together a list of things that should be, there we go, that should be ignored. And there's information here about how to specify them. And you have a checkbox that lets you decide whether or not to consider that file. If it's not checked, then it won't even look. Be aware it's a global file, so it works no matter what project, what folder you're searching in. You can limit by file type, so that if you only want to search in certain types of files, uncheck this, check the ones you want to search in. Maybe these. You also can specify your own file types. And you can search in non-VFP files. So I could, if I wanted, tell it to search in docx. I'm not going to run that search. But the cool thing is it will go out, it will do the best it can of a textual search. It doesn't do a great job on the code view or when you open it up finding the right place, but that's not really surprising. So you have, but you can add custom file types. This would also be handy if you've got custom extensions in your code for things that are actually FoxPro files. I think it would help. You can also, here's the same 3 checkboxes we had in the main interface, just so you can do everything from one place. Over here, you can really see that GoFish was imagined as a search in all those X files, in VCXs and SCXs and so forth. You can say only search in files where the file timestamp is in a certain date range, so that only those that were changed between certain dates. The reserved 3 field in SCXs and VCXs is the one that contains things like property definitions and so forth and descriptions. You can say, don't bother searching there. Member data was added in VFP 9. It allows us to specify capitalization and write property editors and so forth. You can say, don't search member data. So you can set all of these things so that you can narrow down your search initially as much as you want to narrow it down. Okay, so that's what to search. You can also fine-tune how to search. We have this set of option buttons on the advanced search dialog. It's a drop-down in the main GoFish interface that lets us say, are we doing a plain search? That's what we've done up till now. Do we want to have wildcard star and question mark, the same that we use all over Windows? Do we want to have regular expressions? So let's go ahead and look at those. So here's the drop down on the main page. Let's choose wildcards. And we could, for example, search for the string command cmd star library. We're looking for buttons that have something to do with a library. And when I go fish, I get back 7 lines all in the same file. And you can see command add library, command remove library, and so forth. We can also do regular expressions. And I guess I should start this part by saying, I don't work much with regular expressions. And if you're not already all that familiar with them, this may or may not be that useful to you, except that GoFish has a little cheat sheet for you. When you've chosen regular expression, right here, you get a drop down, and when you choose one of these, like word boundary, it gets put into the search box. I need to make sure my cursor's after. I'm going to build a little, I'm going to build a little drop down, any one character in a set. Landed in the wrong place. This has been an issue. I don't know if it's something I'm doing wrong or something I'm just not getting about GoFish. And now I can put the set of letters I'm interested in, A to Z. So I want to start at a word boundary. I want there to be one letter. Then I want the string font. And then I want one or more characters after that. So this is a regular expression that says, find places that begin with a single letter, have the word font, and then more at the beginning of at the beginning of a word. And when I do that search, 70 lines in 3 files, and you can see, for example, n font pixel size. Sort of what I wanted. I wanted variables and properties that are about font. And I'm sure somebody who knows regular expressions better could do this more efficiently. All right, so we've seen how to do a basic search, how to fine-tune what you're searching for, where you're searching, and how you're searching. Are there any questions at this point?
Yes. Someone's asking if you know if the tree view is an MS tree view.
I have not looked at what it's built with. I assume that, yes, it's the tree view that comes with Windows. And the whole thing, in fact, reminds me of Doug's Explorer interface. I don't know if that's what we actually have here. However, when you download GoFish, you get all the code, so you can actually look at what it's using.
Yep.
That's all.
Okay. There's been some debate on the next question on the forum, so on the chat, so we'll let you take a crack at it. When you invoke an editor to open it up on the search item, is the position of the Modicon window configurable?
Where it pops up,
Yep.
I don't know. I would guess that if it's already in your Fox user file, it's going to pop up at that position. And otherwise, it would pop up at whatever the default position is for PRGs or the form designer or the class designer. But that's just a guess.
Well, that's what I said as well. So I'm going to vote for you.
Okay.
Next question is, if I search in GoFish 5 twice in a row, I get an error message the second time called class definition GF_filter result is not found. And I have to close GoFish and reopen it to use it again.
I would I'm sorry, was there more question?
Yeah, GoFish 4 does not do this. Is this a known issue specific to my environment?
I'd say it's specific to the environment. I would just reinstall it. Okay. But that's just a guess. Mm-hmm. Although I did, when I was prepping this session, I ran into an issue with one of the XML files behind GoFish being not available, and had the heck of a time getting it to work the way I wanted to. And a reinstall didn't actually work. I had to move the files that I needed over from another machine. So we'll talk at the end about how you report bugs.
That's it for now.
Okay, great. Let's go back to the slides briefly. So once you've done a search, one of the things that's rather cool, and I don't know that I've had in any other search tool I've used, is you can now further limit the results so that you can, you've seen the broad and say, okay, now I want to fine tune because I only want these. And it can be quite handy. So let's talk a little bit about, oops, I didn't want to do that. I actually want to do that, about filtering basics. So just above the result grid, you have this filter button with the apply checkbox next to it. And actually, we do just want to go over here. So let's go back. I'm going to go back to plain search for the rest of the session. I'm going to go back to our search for item as a whole word and redo that search. And when I click filter, what I get is the filter builder, the GoFish filter builder. And it has 6 tabs. I'm thinking about them broadly in 3 groups. The first group is these 2 tabs, file types and match types. And they're about filtering on the type of the result. So when you come in here, there's a list of all kinds of files, and only the ones that actually occurred in the result are highlighted. And you can check one or more checkboxes and say, I only want to see those. Notice as soon as I did that, the tab went red, and this set of checkboxes has the red boundary. GoFish in general is really good about telling you what you've done. It uses red highlighting to indicate, hey, there's something here. When I click apply, we come out here, and right here it says we're filtered to 5 match lines in one file. The apply checkbox is checked. That tells us that the current filter is in use. If I uncheck, then we go back to seeing everything, check it again. It doesn't have to actually do the work again. It knows what it is. Also, this is one of those things I learned. You can hover over the filter button to see what the filter is. And it's just Fox Pro code. And that's handy, but as you saw, it disappeared. You can right-click the filter button, and you get a message box showing you what the filter is that's currently in use. In this case, it's that all trim of file type, which is one of the fields of a cursor that GoFish is using, is exactly equal to PRG, which is what we did. We checked the checkbox for that. I want to show you something else that I actually learned rehearsing the session. If you choose one of these, that's considered a filter, And over here, you can see it, not empty class. And upper of file type is in either VCX or PRG, is in among those. So you can actually filter by navigating in the tree view. I guess I have to click apply to make it actually do it. Now it's back to the other filter. All right, I think not applied was saying there was another filter that hadn't been applied. All right, let's go back to the filter builder. Let's go ahead and clear this one and take a look at match types. Match type says not what kind of file is it, but what kind of thing is it? What did I match? And again, only the ones that occurred in your search results are dark. Everything else is disabled. So I'm going to just choose property value. Again, note the red highlighting, click apply. I've got 14 match lines in 3 files. Here's a property value of a caption. Here's a property value of a tooltip text, and so forth. So those are the first 2 tabs. And let's clear that. This tab by itself is the second group. It's a group of 1. And this is about what's in the code near the match that you found. You have 2 sections up here at the top, within the same statement, within the same procedure. Within same statement means that you can type something in here and you want to keep only the results where whatever string you put here is in the same command in FoxPro, the same command that the match occurs in. Let's demo that because it'll make more sense. So I'm going to look for ones that have a collection within the same statement. So here, and you can see it down here in the code view window, item was there, and look, here's collection in that same statement. I'll hover over some of these. There's another one that's very similar. In fact, they're mostly pretty similar. Important to note that statement means statement, not line. If it's a continued line, it'll still handle it just fine. So that's what within same statement means. Within same procedure means it's in the routine. It's in the function or procedure or method or stored procedure. We have this other string, and that could be really handy. You're looking, you search for some variable, some field maybe, and you really only are interested in the places where there's a replace in the method, where there's actually code being, fields being replaced or something like that. I'm not going to demo that. These 2 checkboxes let you shrink the result set. It may not have been obvious, and let's clear our filters and come out. But the original result set, it's most obvious, I think, when we look at the H file, that you can have multiple matches in the same procedure, or even multiple matches in the same line. I don't think I have any of those, but these are all in one routine. So these checkboxes say, show me only the first one, the first match, and it's good enough to know that because I'm going to open it up and I'm going to play with it. Down here, we have a set of stuff that actually applies not just to this tab, but to the other 3 tabs we haven't talked about yet. Match anywhere is, are we matching anywhere with the filter string? Can it be anywhere within the statement or within the procedure that where the original result occurred? Or if we uncheck it, are we only interested in the ones at the beginning? There is at least one bug when you turn match anywhere off. The filter that it builds, if you don't have use wildcards checked, makes it impossible for there to be a match. I'm not even going to demo it, but it is a problem. Let's instead talk about wildcards. We can use wildcards here as we could in the original search. So I could now limit my search to statements where in the where not only did item occur, but we had something that began with C, had a bunch of characters, and then had name. And we do filter a lot of stuff out, but I need to show you that, in fact, it can be very misleading. Look at this line here. The filter was C star name, and what we got was C at the end of the constant going out and then into the string and ending with name there, which probably wasn't what I intended. You can see it actually here too. C star name is C for caption, all that stuff, and then the word name. So when you're using a wildcard, remember that a wildcard is unlimited. It's however many, put the star in, it could be something that wasn't what you were thinking about. The third checkbox here allows us to search for, to inverted search, to put an asterisk at the beginning of whatever we're looking for and say, show me all of my original results that do not include this string in the statement or in the procedure. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to do exclamation point, not collection. Before we looked for all the ones that included collection. This time we're going to look for all the ones that do not have collection in the string. And we've got 25 matches in 7 files. And while we can't, you can see that this line does not include the string collection. You can't, of course, see that the ones that did aren't here except by eyeballing and say, hey, yeah, what happened to that result? But wait, there's more. Because as this caption here says, enter multiple filters using and or as delimiters, and they're both inside vertical lines. Now, you can build a you can build a long filter expression. However, there are no parentheses involved. So it's just a straight left to right and an or. You can't say this and this or this and that. But you can do something like this. Collection and property. So now we only want to find the original results that include both the string collection and the string property on the same line. And we're down to 10 matches in 2 lines. And notice that the things that were in the filter did get green highlighted, but only the yellow line is the match line. And here we can see property collection dot item. Okay, so that's filtering on the code around it. Let's clear that out. I should say you can you can specify filters on multiple tabs and they will all apply. I'm not doing that just for simplicity here, but that's one reason that the tab itself, why you get the red there, so that you know, oh, look, this filter includes a code thing and a names thing and a file types thing. All right, so the last 3 tabs, classes, names, and files, let us filter based on where the match occurred. Not just what kind of a file, not a type, but for example, the classes tab lets us say only keep those in a particular class or with a particular parent class or based on a particular base class or that have a particular containing class. We'll go ahead and do it with parent class. Let's keep only the matches where the parent class is the underscore tool class, which is one of the main classes of the toolbox. And we get 4 matches in 2 lines. And here's this column says parent class. We can see all of these have underscore tool. Important point. It's not anywhere in the hierarchy. It's the immediate parent. As I mentioned, the stuff here at the bottom applies. So I can actually turn the wildcards on, and I'm going to replace the underscore with star, and we're going to look for anything that's whose parent class has the term star in it, or sorry, the term tool in it. So now we have lines whose parent class is underscore tool and some whose parent class is underscore class tool. Okay, so that's the classes and these different things related to classes. Let's go look at names. Here it's about what is the name of the object or the property, what is the name of the method where it occurs. So we'll stick with tool, and we'll look for only those matches where the object or property name is tool star, and I'm using wildcards. With match anywhere, the truth is the star and the wildcards aren't really necessary. So we said the object or the property name, and I don't think we actually, yeah, here we go, the name. So label tool name, call tool name, form custom toolbox, blah, 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 and so forth. Finally, let's clear that. We have the ability to filter on the file name. Now, we had that in the original search, but sometimes we might want to do it later on the path or on the file's timestamp. Same kind of stuff we've been doing. Here, we'll go ahead and do the leading knot, the leading exclamation point, and we'll say search for those whose file name does not include the word toolbox. So we'll keep only those where the file name, this worked the last time. Did I do something wrong? I have to have wildcards for that. Not sure why that isn't producing results. But you can see that, yes, we're filtering. I'm not going to worry too much about the specifics there. Are there questions at this point?
Just one. And the question based on the user interface, someone's asking, what if someone is red-green colorblind?
And I actually, I do know the answer. It's not in my paper, but it's in the chapter in the VFPX book. You can, in fact, change those colors. And as I say, I think it's you, Rick, who wrote about that, right?
It's either me or Jim. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. In any case, yes, I don't know that you can change the colors in the interface other than by actually changing the code for things like this red box around the filter. Although you'll still see a box, I guess, even if you're red-green colorblind. But the colors of the lines in the result grid, you can specify different colors for those. Okay, let's move on. And I know I skipped a bunch of slides because it was easier. Just keep talking. Let's talk about replace, because any good search tool also lets you do replace. And one of the dings on the code references tool from Microsoft is that some people had issues of it mangling code when it did a replace. I've done a lot of replacement with GoFish. I have never run into an issue of it not doing the replace safely. And there are some guardrails to ensure that nothing bad happens. So before you can do replacement in GoFish, just once, you have to go ahead and turn it on. It's in the options dialog. We're going to go back there. And over here, we have options. And when we click options, one of them is replace, one of the tabs. And by default, there's no replacing. You can check this checkbox. And then you actually can decide what things you're willing to let GoFish replace. You can let it just do code and comments. You can let it do some things that are in the X files, or you can let it do a lot. I set it on dangerous because I have never had a problem. I guess if I had a problem, I would be more concerned. It's also the case, well, that you can decide whether GoFish backs up the source before it replaces. It's on by default. I leave it on. So I know that even if GoFish somehow goes wrong, I can go back and it has saved my file pre that replacement and I can restore that. So the actual replacement. Again, we'll just come over here. When you want to do replacement, you check this checkbox to go into replace mode. And you can see that things changed here. I'm way out there. Let's come back over here. We now have this whole pane about replacement. There are 3 kinds of replacement we can do, and we'll look at each of them. We can decide exactly which lines get the replacement and which ones don't. Oh, and before we actually do any replacement, I don't want to replace in my toolbox code. I'm going to now switch over to a folder where I keep all those little test programs that I write over time in order to try things. And I'm going to search in that folder for the string test because I tend to call a lot of things test. Oh, great. I know exactly what's wrong here. I forgot to clean up after my last practice. Let me just go do that. Nope. Oh. Okay, give me one moment here. Let me go to that folder. Things are there. Let's open this. Ah, I changed it quite a lot. Okay. But, oh, I also know what's wrong. Okay. Let me uncheck whole word, which was in my notes, but I failed to do it. All right, let's try that again. Why didn't it turn up the file I just edited? It's going to be a day where everybody's demos break. Let's open that again. It has the word test in it. All right. Well, we're just,
Tomorrow, someone's wondering if you might have whole word checked or something.
I unchecked whole word. I did have it checked. Mm-hmm. And we've got all the file types on. Oh, I never cleared that. I wonder if that is. Bingo. Wow. So that's a good point, actually, that there are a lot of places in GoFish where you might have specified something that just might be getting in your way. Okay, so now let's go into replace mode. And when you use the replace text, the simplest of the replacements, you check which lines you'd like to do the replace in. In this case, we're only going to do it in this one line because the rest of those aren't things I really want to change. And I'm going to change test to experiment. And once I do that, notice this replace line, any line that's checked, it will show you right here in the GoFish interface exactly what the replacement will look like. And when you are ready and you think everything's good, you click replace checked. And you get this scary warning. And if you say yes, then it happens. And notice we now have a big green check mark to show we replaced that. And if I come off that line, you have green background to show that line, the line that got changed. Notice that it did not do a new search after the replacement. I still have all the rest of my match lines here, and I could go ahead and do different replacement with each of them. So that's replace text. And to talk about the next kind, which is replacing by direct edit, I'm actually now going to search for experiment, which I had just changed to. And it's there a few times. And in this replacement, when I choose edit line, I'm now talking to the lines one at a time. And I can go in and I can actually do the edit right here. I don't have to open the file and edit it. I can just edit it right here. I'll change that one to test and tell it to replace the line. Again, we get the scary warning. This one, and you don't have to just change the part that you searched for originally. With this line editing, you can modify the line entirely. So I'll replace that one. That's probably enough for now. So edit line is a 1-by-1, but you have the whole line available to you, and it's much faster than opening the file, making the change, and saving the file. But the real winner here, the really exciting one, is what it calls advanced replace, which is replacing via code. And for this one, I am not going to actually demo it happening, because I'm going to open up, I'm going to do a search in some real client code. I'm going to start it because it's going to be long. This is an enormous project, and it takes a little bit of time to find things there. But what is really cool about this other method, the advanced replace, is you write code to do the replacement. You figure out what you want to do, and you get the entire line that contains the match, and whatever you return, you write a function, whatever you return from the function goes into the file in place of the original line. And when this is done, I will demo what that will look like, because we have this wonderful match line here that lets us see what happened. The backstory here is a project I'm working on. We decided that every time that the unlock command was used, that we wanted to call a function instead that would actually do a table update and then do the unlock if it was successful. That way we could also do some logging. We just gave us more control. So we wrote the function we wanted to replace unlock with, but then we had thousands of lines that looked like this one, unlock in some file, and we needed to change them. And there was no way we were going to be able to do, well, we could have done them by hand, but it would have taken way too long. So instead, I wrote a little function. I'm going to go to advanced replace. When you do advanced replace, you could call this a warning, you could call it instructions, but you get that. And then in order to actually do it, you click this button and you select, why is this being so slow? Let's try that again. There we go. And I want to come over to this is interesting. I have no idea what's going on here other than it's not letting me navigate. Let's cancel and try this again. Okay, something is definitely less than happy on here. Up. I don't think I can paste into there. Tell you what, let's do the obvious thing. Let's come out. Let's close Fox Pro. Let's close the other instance of Fox Pro. Let's go to the desktop. Restart Fox Pro. Do the search. gremlins. I guess, Rick, while we're waiting, are there questions at this point?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, well then I'll just vamp. Uh, no, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do, oh yeah, that was, okay, so here we are again. And it's found a bunch of things. And I could filter. That might actually help because we'll have fewer. What I want to filter on is that this is one where I don't want any of those. I just want, and I don't want to match anywhere. I want the line to begin with unlock. I'm only interested in the lines that actually begin unlock. And that took us down to 76 matches. That's good. But why? Where are they? I'll come here. I don't know what's going on. All right, let's turn off the filter. Oh, and I don't think I ever showed you at the beginning that you can actually click on the headers to search. So let's do this. Okay. I guess we'll do this again. Tell you what we're going to do. I hate to not actually show you what the tool does, but I'm just going to open up the routine, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get there. That's better. So this is the routine that does the replace. It receives the line of code. It cleans it up a little bit, figures out what the prefix is. And because the standard for this project is spaces and their little tabs, actually cleans those up. Why not while we're doing it? And it checks. If the first word of the line it receives is not unlocked, then we don't want to process this line. And we should just return the old line. Otherwise, we're going to parse, and I'm not going to work through the whole thing, but we're going to parse to find, is there an alias? Is it just unlock, or is it unlock in whatever? And if it's unlock in whatever, we're going to do the work we need to do to figure out what that alias is. And then we're going to build the string for the new call, which is either going to be this. Whoops, that isn't where I was trying to go. That'll be the call, or it'll be this one that is the function name commit unlock and plop the alias in it in quotes. We need the equal sign because this code that we're playing with, some of it has to run in Fox Pro for Windows still. So we're doing this, and now that I was able to go there, let's see if I can. We'll give this one more shot. But the idea is you take this string coming in, you parse it, you put it back together the way you want it, you return it, and that's what the new line will be. This is not encouraging. Something is broken. I'm going to kill this. I'm going to kill this. And start again. Yeah, I don't need you to report to Microsoft. Come back to the desktop. Come on, somebody get me to the desktop. Okay, so we'll reopen. Oh, joy, what was that? There we go. All right, we're not going to do that search again. You'll just have to trust me. Oh, I can show you on the slide what it looks like, though. All right, so here we can see we're advanced replace. We've specified that PRG. And so this line, when we do the replacement, would become that line, and so forth. Notice that it handles the case of where it's a variable correctly as well. That's in my code, that function that I wrote. Okay, now are there any questions?
No.
Okay, so we're coming down the home stretch. There are some things about working with GoFish that I want to talk about. One is you have the ability to see the history of what you've done. When I come over here and I just want to go back to a search and replace that worked. So when I open up replace mode here, yeah, I know I'm in advanced replace. That's a thing. If you leave it in general, GoFish remembers how you left it. I'm going to switch back to that one. But I can see all the replacements that I've actually done. Can't do much with these, but I can see exactly what they were, what the search string was, what the replace string was. Probably more interesting is the search history. This folder, not folder, it's the button is a folder, opens up this, and I can return to any search that I had. Now, it doesn't do the search again. It's showing the results I got when I did it then. So if stuff has changed, that may not be what I want, but it does let you go back to an old search. It's also worth noting there is a context menu here that lets you save a search, restore, look, this shows the whole thing, and determine should you be saving all searches. Of course, all that search history takes up space, and this janitor button lets you decide how much space to use. By default, the number here is like 10,000. And when Rick happened to point out recently about this, and I changed it to 90 on my main production machine, yeah, megabytes of space was freed up. Might as well leave. No, I want to do some other stuff, not leave that open. The UI of GoFish is very configurable. Let's talk about what we can do. First of all, we have splitters. There's a splitter here so you can make the tree view bigger if you want. There's a splitter here so you can decide how big, how much for code view, how much for the result grid. You can change the position of code view. There's a drop down here. I can move code view and put it over on the right or the left. You can change the font size in the code view somewhat. You can also maximize it. I can say, don't show me the grid, just show me the code view. And when it's at the bottom, but not when it's on the side, you can also collapse the code view and give more room for the grid. And you'll see right down here at the bottom, I can expand it back. The other thing you can do is you can resize the columns. So maybe I want the match line to take up a little bit less room. Everything you do is remembered the next time you come in. You also can do a ton of stuff using the options dialog. The preferences page is mostly, but not entirely, about how it looks. Do you want it to be dockable? I'm not a big dockable fan, so I tend to have that off. You can, as of fairly recently, check this checkbox and have the GoFish window be in the desktop. So for example, you could keep your main VFP window in front of you and have GoFish off on a side window. Down at the bottom here, font sizes and things, and I did in fact change some of them for this presentation. This section is about some messages and dialogues should they come up. This section is about how things should work. When you open GoFish, do you want the advanced search to open right away? Are you saving all search results to the search history, and so forth? So a bunch of stuff there. Which columns do you want in the result grid? You can decide. So if you really don't need some of them, you want to, see fewer things and make them bigger, you can uncheck some of these. If there are things you'd like to see that aren't there, you can check them. This tab is about, about the settings for GoFish. And you can open these up and take a look at them. So this is what is saved currently for me for filters. And it has a bunch of settings and shows what their current values are. So you can actually go in and look at the XML and even change it if you're careful. We talked about replace. We talked about backups. Thor is just reminding you that if Thor is here, you can integrate GoFish with Thor. And this is about how you get updates. And we talked about the janitor. No, that isn't, I'm sorry, that isn't what I meant to do. There we go. What if you'd like to get involved? And getting involved can mean a lot of different things. Number one is, what if you found a bug? If you found a bug, you should come over to this, to the VFPX GoFish site and go to the issues page, and you can add a new issue, a bug report or a feature request. I'm not actually going to do this, so we'll just go back and fill in all the information. I want to be careful here that you need to do this on the VFPX GoFish site, not Matt Slay's site, because since Matt's death, unfortunately, nobody can make changes on that GitHub site. So be sure that you do it here. You can also go ahead and try to fix bugs or add things. And there are instructions somewhere on the VFPX site for how you can get your own fork of the code, copy the code, have your own fork, make changes. You can then upload and say, hey, I've fixed this. Wouldn't you like to integrate it and make it available to everybody? So you can, that's another way to be involved. So, what did we learn today? We learned how to get GoFish, how to search in GoFish, how to filter the search results once you have them, how to do replacements despite this trouble I ran into, how to configure GoFish, and how to contribute to GoFish. Are there any questions?
Nothing new at this time.
Oh, okay. Well, then look at that. We've made your long break a little bit longer. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to fill out your evaluation. I learn a lot from the evals that people give me. Thank you so much.